Hi, and welcome to the Intramural Co-Rec Softball Captain's video. My name is Mike Wyden, Director of Intramural Sports.
And I'm Tommy Shore, Assistant Director of Intramural Sports here at the University of Iowa. We're going to get right into it. This video is for you captains to learn some of the rules and regulations of our program and of the sport of co-rec softball so you know going into the season. First, we want to introduce some of our staff. You've met me and Mike through this video. These are pictures of our graduate assistants, Andy Christopher and Matt McCarthy. They will do a lot of the rescheduling, scheduling, officials trainings, things like that. You'll see them out at the fields, things like that. So these are some faces to get to know. These 8 people are our intramural supervisors. They will be out there on a nightly basis of supervising the complex during these games and helping you out with registration and questions you may have regarding the intramural sports program. Our website that you are at right now is imleagues.com. This is where we post a lot of announcements about our program. You can add players to your roster, check your schedules. They'll be posted on there. You can find sport rules and information sheets for some of our other sports as well as co-rec softball. You do that by clicking the handbooks and manuals link on the sport homepage. And as the season gets going, there will be updated standings and brackets once we get into the playoff season. Some responsibility for you all as team captains. We need you to make sure your teammates are eligible. When you're inviting people to play on your team or including people on your team out at the game site, we need you to make sure that those players are eligible according to our rules and regulations of the program. Make sure your teammates as well as yourself know sport and program rules and regulations. It's very important that our participants know the rules so they're not caught off guard and we don't have eligibility or disqualification issues just for not knowing the rules. And if for any reason we need to contact you and find out some information about your team or ask you a question or something, you will serve as the team contact for the Intramural Sports Office. Team roster. As you get your team signed up and registered through this process, you will create a roster. And throughout the season, players can be added to a team's roster until 10 a.m. the morning of the quarterfinal game. So the entire regular season, as long as somebody is eligible, you can and has not played on another co-rec softball team, you can add that person to your roster by 10 a.m. the morning of the game. When we get into playoffs, you can continue to add new players to your roster until 10 a.m. the morning of a quarterfinal game. At that point, rosters lock and you can no longer add players to your roster. To be eligible to play, you must add somebody to your roster by 10 a.m. the day of the game. Otherwise, they will not be guaranteed to be on your roster for that night's game. And check imleagues.com, this website that you're at right now, frequently to make sure your roster is up to date, make sure there's no ineligible players. If somebody drops out of classes or something like that, as team captain, we hope that you'll follow along with that and know the eligibility so you can check your roster and make sure everything is current and up to date. If you need to drop a player from your team, you can fill out a roster drop request form. They're available on imleagues.com as well as outside the Intramural Sports Office in E216 Fieldhouse. Fill out that form, and if that player has not played on your team or signed in for a game for co-rec softball, we will go ahead and drop that person from your team roster. You can fill that out and submit it to the roster drop box located right outside of our office. Participant eligibility. University of Iowa students, faculty, and staff are eligible for participation in our program, and spouses and legally married partners are also eligible. So for co-rec softball, if a husband and wife want to play on the same team, if the husband is eligible, the wife can also play on that same team. You may only represent one team in the co-rec division, but if you want to sign up your spouse, fill out a spouse edition form available on imleagues.com, the Intramural Sports website, or outside our office. Once a player enters a game on a second co-rec team, that player is ineligible for co-rec softball for the remaining of the season. As I mentioned before, you can only have one team that you play on for co-rec softball. So once you do that, you can no longer play on any other teams. You must stay on that one team. Any teams with ineligible players, not a student, faculty, or staff member, or they've played on more than one co-rec softball team, that team will forfeit any game in which that ineligible player has participated. Intercollegiate athletes, Iowa softball players, or baseball players cannot participate in an intramural sport in that related sport. So Iowa softball and Iowa baseball cannot play on your co-rec intramural softball team. Former Division I athletes cannot play for 2 full semesters after they last participated in that intercollegiate Division I sport. So they must sit out 2 full semesters before gaining eligibility in that sport for our program. Check-in requirements: once you get to the facility, your game time's coming up, you will need to present a university ID to check into your game. So either the official, the umpire on the field will help check you in, or the supervisors in the concession stand window out at the Hawkeye Softball Complex can help sign you in. You must present a university ID in order to do that. Each player, like I said, will check in with the officials on his or her field or with the staff member in the concession stand at the Hawkeye Softball Complex. If you do not bring in a university of ID, you will not be able to play. There's no exceptions to this rule. Captains, we count on you to remind all your players to bring their university IDs for all the games in which they participate. We don't want you to be short of players or not being allowing people to play because they do not bring their university ID cards. If somebody tries to use somebody else's ID, misuse of an ID, any person caught doing this will be suspended from intramural sports. That person will also have to have a meeting with the intramural sports staff, and incidents will be reported to the Dean of Students' office. It's very important at the University of Iowa that people are not using fake IDs and things like that to participate in intramural sports or any other activities on campus. So we take it very seriously, and so we have measures that we take after the fact if something like this happens. Participant conduct. Sportsmanship is a very important part of our intramural sports program here at the University of Iowa. And any participant who participates in a fight will be suspended from all recreational services activities for at least 1 calendar year. And this goes along with sportsmanship, the sportsmanship ratings that you get before, after games, and that your team averages throughout the season. But anybody caught fighting or anybody that does fight will be suspended, will have to meet with us, and that will also be passed along to the Dean of Students' office. Ejections, like I talked about a little bit before, sportsmanship is big in our program. Any player that gets ejected is required to have a meeting with our intramural sports staff along with the team captain. So you as team captain, if you have somebody acting up in a co-rec softball game, make sure to get them calmed down, do everything you can to get them calmed down and to put the game into perspective a little bit so that that person does not get ejected, because you will have to come to a meeting along with that person. The ejected participant is ineligible to participate until after the meeting occurs. Again, that meeting is with you, the team captain, and you are also ineligible to participate until that meeting occurs. And the ejected participant is suspended at least 1 additional game after the game in which the ejection occurred. Officials will rate you guys, your teams, on a sportsmanship scale of 1 to 4. So the game happens. After the game, the officials take the score sheet and will fill out a sportsmanship rating, 1 being excellent, 4 being poor. These are very important for our programs. Teams receiving a 3 or 4 will be notified by our office. If you get a 3, you will be notified via email. If you get a 4, you will be notified via email that you need to come in and have a meeting with the intramural sports staff to discuss what happened, why you got a 4 incident, and what we can do better moving forward so that doesn't happen again. You must maintain a 2.5 average or better to be eligible for the playoffs. So if you got a couple bad sportsmanship ratings and your average is not better than 2.5 after your 3 regular season games, you will not be eligible to participate in the playoffs regardless of your win-loss record. Games are officiated and umpired by our student intramural officials. They're all trained by our intramural sports staff. Some of them may be certified in softball by the ASA. Some of them may not be. It may be their first time out there officiating slow pitch softball. So we take the time to train them, teach them rules, teach them positioning, teach them mechanics. But at the same time, they are your peers, they are students, so we expect you to treat them with the level of respect that you as a participant also want to be treated with. Forfeits is something we discourage as much as possible within our intramural sports program. Teams not ready to play within 10 minutes of the game time will be recorded as having forfeit. If a team forfeits, that team captain will be charged $32.50. That is half of the registration fee for intramural co-rec softball. that team captain will get charged on his or her U-bill, that forfeit fine. We will also give you a call the day after your forfeit and give you a chance to let us know that you want to remain in the league. If you remain in the league and participate and show up for all the rest of your games, you as a team captain will be refunded that forfeit fine. If you say you don't want to be in the league or you forfeit a playoff game or something like that, you don't have another chance to get that forfeit fine back, and so you will not be receiving a refund of that forfeit fine. Defaults: in order to avoid a forfeit, if you know all your players have a test one night or some extenuating circumstance, you know that your team cannot make a game, you can default. And to default, you must contact our office by noon the day of the game. Co-rec softball games this fall will be on Thursdays, so you must let us know by Thursday at noon if your team cannot play that night. Your first default, there's no fine for that. We appreciate you telling us that you can't make it. We can let the officials and the other team know and take care of everything we need to that way. The second default, now you're causing us a little bit more of a headache. You know, we want our teams to be able to show up for their games. We want the opponents to be able to play. So we will charge a 25% of your entry fee default fine. That'll be charged to the captain's U-bill. And if you default a third time, the captain's U-bill will be charged a 50% fine, that 50% being of the registration fee. Again, like I talked about, defaults must be made known to us by noon the day of the game. You can email our graduate assistant, Andrew Christopher, at andrew-christopher@uiowa.edu, or call the Intramural Sports office to let us know of that default by noon the day of the game. Protests. If something happens out there, a misapplication of a rule, so you're up to bat and you start with a 2 balls and 2 strikes count instead of a 1 ball 1 strike count, you can protest that. Misinterpretation or misapplication of a rule can be protested. Judgment calls cannot be protested. So out or safe at first base, that is not something that can be protested. It's up to the judgment of the official. If you wish to protest something, you must call a timeout immediately, make known to the officials that you would like to protest. The official will get an intramural site supervisor over to make a ruling. If you still don't agree with that ruling, you can appeal that. You can appeal the supervisor's ruling by filling out a protest form and submitting that to the Intramural Sports office along with a $5 protest fee by noon the business day after the game. So that would be Friday for co-rec intramural softball. If your protest is upheld, we will refund that $5 fee and we'll make adjustments to the game how we need to based on your protest being upheld. If your protest is not upheld, we uphold the supervisor's ruling. We will keep that $5 administrative protest fee. Now Mike's going to come take you through the rest of the PowerPoint.
Thanks, Tommy. The softball team schedules will be posted on our website, imleagues.com, beginning on Friday, September 7th, so be sure you're checking the website to see those. And the games are scheduled to begin on Thursday, September 17th. Not everybody will start that night, but that's when our first session will be held. Our league standings and our playoffs will all be posted on our intramural bulletin boards, and those are located outside of our office in E216 Fieldhouse. You can also see standings and playoff information at imleagues.com, and you'll be scheduled in sections of 4, and the top 2 teams in each of those sections of 4 will advance to the playoffs following the regular season games. All of our games will be played at the Hawkeye Softball Complex, located at the corner of Highway 6 in Coralville and Mormon Trek Boulevard. When you're going out there, make sure you do not use alcohol or tobacco, as those are not permitted anywhere in the complex, including the parking lot. As far as our time and length of games, we'll play 7 innings of softball. Obviously, if the home team's ahead, we'll play 6.5. Or we're going to play 50 minutes. No new inning will start after that 50-minute time limit. The only exception to that time limit will be is if a game is tied, then we will go ahead and resolve that tie with extra innings. The games will become official games after 5 innings of play. If we've completed 4.5 innings and the home team is ahead, then the game will also be deemed official. We have run rules involved. 15-run rule is in effect after the 4th inning, and we have a 10-run rule in effect after the 5th inning. Equipment. So when you go out to play softball, you need to know these equipment things and pass these along to your teammates. We do not allow metal spikes or metal cleats. And you'll check in with the officials with your ID, as Tommy talked about, and they will also check your metal spikes or cleats. Softballs that we will use will all be 12-inch softballs. We do ask that you provide your gloves and your bats. And the bats that you provide, they must be ASA approved bats only. And we will have a list of banned bats at the site. So if you have a question about your bat, please check with the intramural supervisor. Your team will be composed of 8 players minimum to start the game, but normal playing is 10. With that 10 players, you can have a maximum of 5 males and 5 females. For your batting lineup, we have a maximum of 12. So if you have more than 12, you will not be listing them in your batting lineup. They can sub in throughout the game just like normal baseball or softball substitution rules. Also in co-rec softball, the player combination for pitcher and catcher must include 1 male and 1 female. Some of our ground rules for intramural softball co-rec is we start with a 1-1 count. And then if you do foul off your 3rd strike, that does result in a strikeout. The legal pitch for the slow pitch softball must have a maximum arc of 12 feet and a minimum arc of 6 feet. So when you pitch that in there, the umpire will judge how high the maximum arc is. It must be between that 6 and 12 ratio. We also have a home run limit of 3 over the fence home runs per game. However, if both teams have reached that 3 home run maximum, then you can each hit 1 more home run and go up from there. And then we also have the infield fly rule that will be in effect as well. Substitutions. If you sub in, all substitutes must bat and play at least 3 defensive outs in the field before they can be removed from the game again. But there is no limit as far as how many times you can be added and subtracted out of that lineup. We do allow for courtesy runners in case there's an injury. If there's an injury prior to the at-bat, you must announce that you need a courtesy runner for each at-bat to the umpire prior to taking your first pitch. The courtesy runner must be of the same gender. The courtesy runner also would be the last recorded out in your lineup of that same gender and someone that has not already entered the game. If a courtesy runner is needed on when the batter gets hurt on that same play, that does not need to be announced prior to the at-bat. A couple adaptations for the co-rec game that we'll be playing is you must alternate your gender in your batting order, male and female. If you don't have equal numbers, you're going to have either 2 consecutive males or 2 consecutive females in your lineup. And if that's the case, an out will be recorded in between those 2 consecutive males or females. If you're a male and you receive 3 straight balls and no strikes, you automatically will be walked to second base instead of first base. This is so that pitchers can't pitch around the males and just pitch to the females. Also new for this year, we are going to put in an outfield restriction line for co-rec softball. And that restriction line will be painted in the grass 180 feet outside of home plate. And what that rule is that you have to have 4 outfielders standing behind that line when the ball is contacted with the bat. And the umpire will be monitoring that. So make sure you tell your outfielders stay behind that line until the ball is contacted. We also are looking for officials. If you are interested in umpiring softball for us, we have a training session that is Thursday night, September 6th at 6 p.m. And that'll be held in the Hawkeye Softball Complex press box. So come out to the softball complex if you're interested in becoming an umpire. And then anybody that wants to do this as an umpire must attend this meeting. This is where we do all of our training for rules, mechanics, and positionings for our officials. Our Buffalo Wild Wings Intramural Sports Points Championship is available to all teams that keep their same team name throughout the year and participate in all sports. We keep track of all of your sport participation points based upon how you finish in the particular sport. And we track those at the end of the year, and we'll have a Buffalo Wild Wings Sports Points Championship awarded in the divisions of men's, women's, fraternity, sorority, and co-rec. So for softball, you can gain points for your co-rec team to be awarded for this points championship. The winners at the end of the spring semester will be rewarded with a championship trophy, a $100 gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings, and Buffalo Wild Wings championship t-shirts. Another program that we are involved in here at Intramural Sports is called the E-Chug program, and it is an online confidential alcohol assessment that we're partnering with Student Health Services on. We're giving a benefit to you as a team if you have, of your final team roster, 75% of your players take this online alcohol assessment. You can get a complete refund of your team's entry fee. And we have complete details on our website at imleagues.com and the Intramural Sports website, but this is a way for you to take this short online assessment and get your entry fee returned back to you. If you are signed up and you are on the wait list, if we've completely filled up all of our sections and you're now in the wait list, we do have to have you come to a wait list meeting. We'll try to see if there's any other spots that we can open up based upon your availability and ours. And that waitlist meeting is Friday, September 7th at 2 p.m. in room E201 of the field house. So come to room 201 of the field house and on 2 o'clock September 7th, and we'll try to see if we can get those teams on the waiting list in there. This will allow you to get in there. If you don't show up to this meeting and you're on the wait list, you'll be dropped and refunded your team entry fee. If you are a free agent and watching this video, or if you're a team that doesn't have the maximum amount of players, we are hosting new this year these meetings called free agent meetings. And it's a chance for you to get together as an individual person that may not have a team, or if you're a captain looking for team members, we're going to get you all together in one room and you can talk to people and try to get added or try to create a team of just free agents. Thursday, September 6th is that meeting in room 201 of the field house, and that meeting starts at 2 p.m. Also new this year for Intramural Sports is we're creating 6 events within our Friday night series. We want to do some programming on Friday nights to offer some alternatives to do on campus. And all these Friday night events that we have are all free to students. So you just have to go to IM Leagues and sign up your team or your individual in these sports. Bowling, mini golf, late night softball, and volleyball will be offered this fall. In the spring we'll do wiffle ball, inner tube water polo, and kickball. And again, all these sports are free. It gives you an opportunity to do some alternative things on Friday nights. Our registration requirements then, finally, for you as a captain. You need to pass the captain's quiz, which you can take right after watching this video. You can meet the minimum player requirement, so you need a minimum of 8 players on your team before you can be allowed to advance to the next step. The next step is paying your registration fee through PayPal. That can be done through imleagues.com. Once you've done that, you'll be allowed to select your day and your time of play. Your day obviously will be Thursday nights, but we will have time set up on IM Leagues that you can go in and select those. And all of these things must be done by our registration deadline, which is 8 a.m. on Friday, September 7th. So make sure you follow this order to get that all completed. If you have any questions about anything that we've talked about today in our captain's video or anything about our program, you can always contact us in our office in the field house at 335-9292, or you can email us at intramural-sports@uiowa.edu. We thank you for your time and attention, and good luck to everyone in this co-rec softball season.